Well, hi there. I am Andrew Watkins, and if you're listening to this while juggling 3 patient calls, checking in a couple patients, taking a payment, selling skincare, and trying to catch your doctor in between procedures, you might be working in an aesthetic practice.
And I'm Blake Lucas, and this is Practice Land. This is not your doctor's podcast.
Well, welcome back to Practice Land. This is Andrea Watkins, and we are here from the Aesthetic Meeting in Austin, Texas. And I'm joined by Sara Camp.
Hello.
Hello. It's so nice to have you on our podcast today. You are in the practice with your husband.
I am.
Dr. Stephen Camp.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit where you guys are located and what your specialties are in your practice.
So we're in Fort Worth, Texas, not Dallas. We actually talked about this at another podcast yesterday. So Fort Worth is actually 45 miles west of Dallas.
Okay.
And we have a practice with about 20 employees,
Okay.
2 operating rooms. We do all the great aesthetic stuff, nothing reconstructive. So Botox, fillers, a lot of great surgery going on, breast augmentations, tummy tucks, lipo, all that. Yummy,
all of the
all
goodies.
that yummy fun stuff.
All
that
of the
you
goodies.
do. Yes.
That's wonderful. And what is your role?
Facelifts too.
Ooh.
He loves a good deep plane facelift, rhinoplasty.
Deep plane. Wonderful.
Yes.
So he is just
Yeah.
top to
Rocking
bottom.
and rolling all day long. Yep.
That's great for patient retention.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
one thing on to the next.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit, what is your role in the practice,
Yes.
Sara?
So I'm an acute care nurse practitioner, but I really don't function in the healthcare space in that way anymore. I actually run the practice. So I manage our staff,
Okay.
all the HR, legal, finance, manage our team.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how, from a acute nurse practitioner, how did you learn the skills
Yeah.
to go? That's two completely different
It
skill
is.
sets.
Yeah, so I married Steven 17 years ago. We actually met in the hospital, shared a patient when he was a general surgery resident. And then we moved a couple times for different residency and fellowships. And I loved the ICU, but I actually got into the business world because we were moving, and I decided to try something out new. And so being in the corporate world, and I actually got into marketing. And so I did learn a lot about just that background.
Yeah.
And so he actually joined a group practice, and we moved back to Texas for 4 years. And I stayed in the corporate world, and then I started to notice that we really needed to go out on our own. And so we opened our own practice in 2016. And for about a year, I just studied plastic surgery. Like, I quit my job and I read everything I could. I went to every conference I could go to, like Aesthetic Meet.
Mm-hmm.
And I built an 80-page business plan. I met with different banks, different attorneys. Vertidato, they're still our attorneys. I saw both Michael and Brad over the last 2 days, and started our practice.
Got
so
it.
in 2016, and over that time, we've built our practice, built a building 2 years ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's a
so-
huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Just getting the permitting for 2 ORs in and
Yes.
of itself is tough.
Yes, got our Quad A certification in 2023.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That's incredible. So obviously then both of you are brilliant.
Thanks.
It's no easy feat coming from similar experience. That's a lot to undertake. So he's lucky to have found you.
Well, I feel lucky to have found him. He's my bestie.
I love it.
So.
So you went from nothing, 2016,
Yes.
starting your practice,
Yes.
and you had said earlier, 2025, you have 20 employees.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how does that break down? How many are more clinical and how
Yeah.
many are more sales administrative?
We're almost 50-50, and
Okay.
so we have 10 employees downstairs, 10 employees upstairs. So if
Okay.
you think about downstairs as our surgery center,
Okay.
and that's Modern Surgery Center. So we do open that up to other surgeons to use our surgery center downstairs. And then upstairs is where we have our plastic surgery clinic. And so we have some administrators upstairs. So we have our marketing team. 2 of them are actually looking at me right now. And we have patient coordinator, front desk, and then the rest are nurses upstairs. that help us.
Wonderful.
And then nurse injectors, laser providers, all that good stuff.
The folks that we're typically speaking to and through with Practice Land are our front desk teams, our patient care coordinators, our marketing teams,
Yes.
really trying to help them understand how to navigate what can really be a chaotic experience in some days, depending on
Yes.
what's really going on in the practice. So with your guys' practice, you have a very interesting dynamic, which is beautiful and authentic and wonderful. And we see that a lot in practices across the nation where husband and wife are working together and it's their practice.
Yes.
So how does that go in your practice? Like, is there one person that is Dr. Camp the boss? Are you the boss? Like, what is the guidelines for your team?
Yeah. So I always say, because there are a lot of practices that reach out to us, like, how do you do it? And um, I say to other spouses who are interested in doing this, don't do it just because you're married.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have a background in business or if you don't have a background in healthcare, you really need to make sure you're the right person for the job.
Yep.
And I did not do this for years. So I was in the corporate world and he was in another practice, and I really fought against doing it. And I asked Stephen to fire me last Christmas, because I was like, I don't know if I'm the right person for this.
Mm.
He's like, you are, and I continue to work with him on making me the best I can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually asked my team to help me make sure I'm the best I can be too.
Mm-hmm.
So who's the boss? Well, Stephen is actually, we say he's our CEO, and we have our organizational chart. And we actually met with our team recently to look at our organizational chart, because I had everyone reporting to me because the team continued to grow,
Mm-hmm.
and that cannot function.
Right.
And so we recently had some different people be promoted up, so they have people reporting to them.
Love it.
And people still continue to come to me on our staff and think I am still their manager. And I hate that term, manager or boss, because I think they're
Leader.
my friend, a leader.
Yeah.
But I'm continuing to work with my team to say, no, remember, this person is your manager, and they then report to me. So don't jump up above. And there's a hierarchy. But again, Stephen is our true CEO. He's our leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do sometimes struggle with that. And then I report to Stephen, but he always says that he reports to me.
Like any good man does.
Yes.
That's incredible. Because you're married and also working together and
Yes.
also working as leaders in your business, how do you two handle, well, first of all, let me just not make any assumptions. Is there ever conflict
Sure.
between what you think is the right thing for the business and what Dr. Camp thinks is right for the business?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm stubborn, and I always think I'm right. And sometimes we have to close the door and pause and say, hold on. But yeah,
Mhm.
sure there is. And we always try to say, cannot let that get in the way. But we have shared vision and goals just for life in general. It's why we have a great marriage. And
Yeah.
so you have to understand what you're doing as a team. And that's for any couple or any relationship in general.
Yeah.
And what I've always tried to teach our staff is, whenever Stephen and I have an issue, like, deal with it right when it happens. Like, when he frustrates me, I just say, let's talk about this right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not always perfect with that, but they always say, hire slowly, fire fast. It's the same thing. Like, if you have an issue, talk about it in the moment.
How did you find your team, having the dynamics you do with the family and everything? When you recruit,
Yes.
what specifically are you looking for characteristically
Yeah.
in the folks that you're bringing into your practice?
So I look for great people. I care less about what their background is. I rarely look for people that have background in plastic surgery. I want more people that have a background, like my front desk person, she had a background in banking. Some have had background in healthcare. I want good personalities. So people that I can train anyone up on how to talk about liposuction or breast augmentation. My background was not in plastic surgery. My
Right.
background was in cardiac surgery. And so I want good people. And my team has always been the one who they interview them first, and then they bring them to me second.
Mhm.
And then we do long interviewing. So they interview for days with us before we hire them on.
Mhm.
So that's kind of our background.
Something, too, I like to do with the working interview is it also gives the applicant or the candidate the opportunity to self-select out.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I don't ever, someone could be a phenomenal candidate, have a great personality, and we love them.
Yeah.
But if they're not going to thrive in the practice and really be happy there, it's not going to last long. You're going to have turnover and have all of these just more work
Yes.
really added to your table in the long run.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So the working interview, and sometimes people are like, oh, I can't come in for a full day or
Oh.
anything like that. I always kind of sell it to the applicant or candidate in the way that, well, we really want to make sure you want to be here too.
Yes.
This is for you
goes
just
both
as
ways.
much as it is for us.
Yes.
Yeah. Is he going to join us?
Do you want to join us? Yeah. Come join. Dr. Camp just arrived on set.
I hear you have 2 children, 13 and 11. So a busy practice,
Yep.
sharing the responsibilities of all of that with your wife, and being a doting father, I'm sure.
I like that word choice. So I'm going to store that one away into the file of good vibes. I think Sarah can speak to this better than I can. But it's, people talk a lot about the idea of kind of finding like ways to get things done, whether that's working together or being a family together. A concept or a word I hear a lot is balance, and nothing could be further from the truth.
This is true.
And take this idea from when you watch like a ballerina moving, it looks very graceful, and they're arching their back and they're moving forward, and there's a lot of things, and they're on their tippy toes. And the whole idea is to act like things are moving gracefully and smoothly and create a beautiful product. But you can't tell me that those toes feel good.
Right.
So there's always a pinch.
Right.
And so I think what we've been able to do is be a team and counterbalance.
Yeah.
And there's certain parts of the weight that each one of us carries disproportionately. But the idea that we're counterbalancing for a common goal as opposed to dividing things in equal halves keeps us out of trouble.
Yeah. Do you guys talk about business at home?
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it like the third child that we're
Yeah.
just constantly? It's just all a part of the life. You
Yes.
don't stop it when you walk in the door at the house.
Yeah, and I've heard people talk about we decide to, separate things, and at a certain hour of the day we stop talking about X, Y, or Z, and essentially compartmentalize those parts of the life, right? I think we need reminders like, hey, get off your phone,
Yeah.
or hey, quit working on that photo site update in the middle of family time, 8:30 at night on a weekend.
Right.
I mean, I think we remind each other to do that. Right?
Yeah.
We don't have any unnecessary guardrails. I think that we let our business life, our family life, just exist. And I don't think, at least from my point of view, you comment on this, Sarah, but we don't have any artificial barriers on that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we talk about it all the time, but we have a joy in talking about it. Sometimes we don't have a joy. Sometimes we're like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
But we also bring our kids into our work life, too. I mean, they come up to the office. Our families are part of our office. And so saying that we have at 6 o'clock, we stop talking about it, that would just be so strange because it's our world.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're here on a Saturday, and our staff's here with us, and my parents are taking care of our kids this weekend, and they're at a baseball tournament. So it's just, you cannot, I think people that say that are not being honest to say we stop it at 6.
Have you guys ever had an interaction with either a patient or maybe a sales rep or someone that you're doing business to business work with and not disclosed that you're married? Does
I
everybody know?
always disclose it.
Yeah.
I actually had an interaction with a patient recently that I made sure, I had told her right on the phone because she called and asked to speak with the office manager, and I don't think she knew. And I'm always shocked when people don't know because we wear name tags with my full name on it, first and last. But I always disclose it. I think it would be very dishonest for me not to say who I am.
Yeah.
And we write letters to all of our patients before surgery, and our staff signs it, and they'll sign love Becky, love Logan, love Casey. But I always say love Sara Camp.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be absolutely dishonest for me not to say. And when I introduce myself to patients, I always say, I'm Sarah, I'm one of the nurse practitioners, I'm also Dr. Camp's wife. So I always disclose it.
Honesty and
Yes,
transparency.
it's one of our core values
Yeah.
is openness and honesty. And so it's number 2 core value.
Yeah.
So I just think you have to because
Yeah.
I don't think it would be right not to.
Yeah. Well, and in
So.
aesthetics, everything we do and the reason that patients choose us first and choose us
Yeah.
again is because of that trust factor.
Yeah.
So that helps to reiterate that
Yeah.
in our relationships with
Yeah.
them for sure. Several occasions throughout our conversations, you've pointed back to your values, your core values, your number 2 core values. Would you mind sharing with me what are your practice core values?
We have 6 or 7, and I wish I had them in front of me. To provide the best experience for all patients, honesty and openness, for our staff to be tech and marketing savvy, to be able, affable, and available, to be happy campers. What am I
Happy
forgetting?
campers.
Yes, that's the
Love
last
it.
one.
Love it.
We want our staff to be happy. If you're walking in a bad mood, you're not supposed to. You got to fix that.
Yeah.
Which one am I forgetting? Oh, have continuing education. That's a big one.
Like here at the
Yes,
aesthetic
yes,
meet.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were really big on continuing education.
They organize themselves into a list of 7 or 8 priorities
Yeah.
that we feel are really important for patients. But I call them the 3 E's and the 3 A's.
Okay.
All right? And so it's an experience exceeding expectations. 3 E's. And so when you unpack that value proposition, it leads to the best experience for all patients possible. it leads to the warm, courteous greetings that we emphasize in our staff and our staff training, that it's more than just a procedure. It is a connection and a relationship. So the 3 E's define more than one thing on our bullet points. And then when we look at variables that are associated with high success in staff members, they're the 3 A's. They're available. And then the other one is A, which is an affable, right? That means be friendly about things. Don't say not right now. Don't say I'm in the middle of something in a way that no one would want to receive, right?
Right.
Affable is a way of describing it, but really it's awareness. You know, it's being self-aware and being kind throughout the process. And the last part of it is ability, right? It's so the technical expertise, the ethics to say this is what I do and do well, and if I could do it better, how am I going to educate myself, right? So autonomy from the staff is expected and required because they're going to do these other things. Education from the staff is expected and required because they lean on those 3 principles, right? And I also don't believe that we ever have a perfect job, or we hire an imperfect employee, or that I'm a perfect leader or boss. That's never been the case. It's never a vacuum. So everything is about development. And the perfect job for each of our employees is the one that they help to craft and create. The perfect job doesn't exist. I didn't make it. I have a position, and they have a starting point. And we believe in each other because of authority of being hired, and I'm the boss. But we grow together because of the personal relationship. And so it's about developing that, the education, the connection, and it applies to all of our lives. So I think for me, the plastic surgery interaction with the patient is kind of a life principle. It extends to our family, extends to our personal lives. And
So your 3 A's are, again,
yeah, so
availability.
Availability, you got to be present.
affability,
Yeah,
ability.
that's right.
Those are 3 key factors that I think are so great for our listeners, because we're really targeting anyone working at the front desk. We're targeting your patient care coordinators, your marketing teams, and being available is so critical, whether it's a patient need or whether it is a team need to help your patient.
I worked for the first 2 years in our practice as a nurse injector, but I was only doing it 1 or 2 days a week, and then I was trying to run the practice, and I started to feel like I was not having the ability I needed, because being a nurse injector, I feel like you need to do it 5 days a week to really, really, really be good, because I didn't have the time to study it. I didn't have the time to really perfect my craft, and I decided to step back and hire somebody like Angela, who's been with us for 6 years. She's incredible, because that's what she does all day, every day. It's either inject or do lasers. And she's a trainer now. Like, she's grown in the most amazing way. And I said, my ability will never be as good as these girls and men that are doing this every single day. And so that's why I stepped back. So that's what we mean by ability.
Well, we're going to wrap up here pretty soon, but I think what we'd love to do, we do a segment here.
Yeah.
It's called She Did What? And so this is our fun little portion of our podcast, where we would like you guys to share either a crazy patient story where something just random and wild happened that was very shocking, or it could be something incredible that a team member did that you were just really taken aback by, like, wow, they really went above and beyond and really shocked you in that manner too.
I think that one of the things that I find is people just infuse their own home remedies or, family traditions into post-treatment care, right? So you're going to go home after a microneedling treatment or a laser treatment where we actually make programmed poke holes in your skin that are bleeding, and you're going to do something like spray Windex on it. I had a patient that read that cayenne pepper was anti-inflammatory. Whether that's true or not is immaterial, but they decided that was going to be a good idea to rub cayenne pepper on their incisions. And they kept calling because, this burns. And I said, of course it does. Yeah. I was like, I don't even have an incision and it burns me.
Oh,
and so, I think that these things don't happen, on a daily basis, but, I don't know, quarterly, 3 or 4 times a year. We hear some story of stuff that you're like, no, that's absolutely not in there. The thing that I love about it is we try and be extremely detailed. There'll be patient instructions. And then
all of a sudden they're 17
so,
pages long
so
because you're taking all of this.
They're given the things to do. Keep your incisions covered. Use this silicone-based scar therapy. Wear your compression garment. The thing that you can't ever substitute for is there's not a list of things that you can't do, right? And so, abdominoplasty patients, they go home, they go to the restroom, they're not being careful, and they call me from the toilet, doctor, my drain fell in the toilet. What do I do with it?
I was thinking
And
of
I think, he's just like, well, you're going to have to salvage that some way. You got to cut that drain off and probably got to come back in the office. I think that the interesting thing is that the number of these stories that have developed over the years has kind of added flavor to our practice and also experience. And they've also kind of calmed me down, softened some rough corners, because you have to end up finding a solution, and time over time we have. And so at this point in our practice, as patients come in with unusual things or unusual situations, and as long as they have a solution, right, it's okay, right? Mm-hmm. The things that you want to make sure that they stay out of are complications that you can't really come back from. Mm-hmm. But so we have a laundry list of things like that, and I think anything from like, when can I go swimming, to like, is it okay to have sex? Mm-hmm. And it's just weird that people think about that when they're healing.
We had the patient that she was a barrel racer, and she went barrel racing like 2 days after her breast augmentation. We had to take her back to the OR. And we had that other one. Remember, she rode an elephant. And we're like,
yeah,
wait, what?
Yeah, so we've had patients over the years. They do things, they feel well.
Rode an elephant?
Yeah.
And so I think that
because they feel good after their breast aug like 2 days later. And
2 days later.
Yeah. And we're like, seriously? Do we have to put that on our post-op instructions? Like, please do not ride an elephant after your
Do not run from an ostrich. Do not ride an elephant.
Like, oh my God, our instructions are going to be 75 pages long.
It's like how the legal documents get longer and longer from every.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
she did what? Yeah, she rode an elephant. The barrel racing was pretty amazing, because we
Yeah.
live in Fort Worth, and so we do have some pretty amazing patients that they're really pretty talented at what they do.
Yeah.
So she did.
But not 2 days after breast aug.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the intersection of like, I'm feeling well and doing well after surgery versus readiness for normal types of activities, right? Yeah. So it stands to reason, like, if we say, hey, no running and raising your heart rate, or no impact exercises, right?
That
bouncing and jostling on a horse would kind of fall into that category.
I just have to know, what was the solution to the cayenne pepper, and how awful was that for them? I just can't imagine. Mm-hmm. I need to know what happened. What was the resolution?
Please stop doing that.
Yeah. But could you really just like walk it off, or was there anything topical to put on? I can't imagine.
You can. The best thing to do is, number one, eliminate the offending problem.
Yes.
Number two, be patient and understand what the skin looks like without extra things kind of mucking up the picture.
Yeah.
And then if necessary, when you're damaging a skin barrier, you protect it with hydration type things, whether it be some sort of ointment or a hydration moisturizing protector to the skin. And then beyond that, if you've got reactionary things, anti-inflammatory programs. So, you stepwise, you just stay calm, and then you walk them back down, and you hit the reset button. It all turns out fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's bonkers.
I just needed resolution in my mind so I could go through the rest of my day, and needed to know that they were okay. Of course they were.
They did, but it was, that one sticks out, because in my wildest dreams, I could have never predicted that.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for being here with us today. I know it's busy. There's a lot to be seen and a lot of people to see. So have a great time while you're here at the meet, and we'll be talking to you soon.
It was our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Got a wild customer service story or a sticky patient situation? Send us a message or voicemail. If your tale makes it into our She Did What segment, we'll send a thank you gift you'll actually love. Promise, no cheap swag here.
Are you one of us? Subscribe for new episode notifications and more at practicelandpodcast.com. New episodes drop weekly on YouTube and everywhere you can listen to podcasts.